Hello and welcome back to Take Two. I'm alternate ending contributor Brennan Klein. I guess now I have the official title given by Rob. He held the sword and put it on both my shoulders and anointed me TV critic in residence because
A lot of pressure.
yeah. Well, I am here with Carrie today. Carrie and Rob and I are doing a pilot episode of a kind of TV spin-off of Alternate Ending called A Worthy Binge, where we're covering the 6-episode season of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is going to be really fun. But that's not what this is. This is Take Two. It's where we kind of go back to the previous week's episode of Alternate Ending, dig deep in on a movie mentioned there. One of Tim's belated sequels that he really liked was Rocky Balboa. And through the course of that conversation, we learned that our very own Carrie Jarasinski has not seen Rocky Balboa. So well, you know what? I'll welcome you officially onto the podcast first. Welcome, Carrie. How are you doing?
Thanks. It's good. I know you were trying to rotate more, but it seems like the absurdities don't usually fall as much to Rob. So I understand that it's natural that the missing of Rocky was probably the weirdest thing from that episode.
Look, I'm not necessarily looking for weird things, but I'm just looking for things that will be fun to kind of, stir up a discussion, And Rob was really trying to push Road to Wellville. And good for him. I mean, we could have gone on a movie date, but that'll be for when I can travel and I can.
What did he say about that? Did he say he hadn't seen it or had, or what was his thing on that again?
I
forget.
saw it with like a group of fourth graders or whatever, and his parents.
Right. That's right. The sexual movie with his parents. But that's not that weird because that's kind of a Polish thing. They do
Really?
that all the time. Oh yeah. He was like, I was introduced, he's like not really, he's like desensitized to all that kind of stuff in general because he's like, yeah, we used to just have like pornos in the bathroom. Like
what?
it would.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like playing all the time.
Oh no. No. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't even want to know.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, it was just like part of like their family. It was just normal and whatever. So who knows? It's weird.
I think
But
that's really cool.
it probably is good. Like at the same time too, he's like, it's no big deal. And I'm like, oh, give me my towel. I can't be exposed. And he's like, it's your knee. And I'm like, still, it's too much. So we're on other ends of the spectrum there. But yeah, I got to catch that one too. I don't know if it's any good, but I think Rocky's probably better.
Yeah, or at least it's the one that, first of all, more people will care about listening to, I would say, but also the one that I was more like, we gotta investigate this because also, full disclosure, I had also not seen Rocky before this recording.
I didn't know that.
I was waiting for the big reveal.
Oh wow! That was like, okay, I have my list of questions, and my number one question was, how old were you, and when did you see this for the first time? And wow, that was unexpected.
I was yesterday years old when I saw Rocky for the first time. Yeah.
This is perfect. This is perfect because I want like the camaraderie perspective of somebody seeing a movie that's from, what is it from?
1976.
Exactly. 76. Like to then and now, like some of the things that are in this that I was a little bit shocked by.
Oh yeah,
your perspective too.
We need to talk about that, Carrie.
I think we're talking about the same thing.
We might. I have multiple options, I think. But yeah, in brief, if you don't know what Rocky is, I mean, everybody knows what Rocky is. But yeah, it's about a Philadelphia like small time boxer who gets the chance of a lifetime because the like big ticket bicentennial boxing match with champion Apollo Creed, his competitor drops out, so he kind of wants to do the Cinderella story where he plucks a small local fighter out of obscurity, and Rocky trains to win the fight. We will be spoiling this movie. He doesn't win. He doesn't not win, but he doesn't win.
That's what we said at the end. I was like, what? He didn't win? And Rob's like, but did he? And I was like, no, he didn't. And Rob's like, but did he? And I was like, no. So we're also divided there too.
He accomplished his twin goals of not being knocked out and getting Adrian to love him by any means necessary.
Again, didn't win. So
oh, you don't like Adrian?
Oh no. I meant just like, to me, it's black and white. Like he needed to punch that guy out. He was so close. I was like, I thought for sure he was going to win. And especially because this is one of the classics of all time. I was like, the classic always should resolve with the underdog. underdog winning. So I was just shocked by it.
See, that's not what the 70s were all about. The
Oh, they
70s,
wanted the winner to win.
yeah, well, the 70s cinema that Rocky is kind of born from is very much this kind of grim Vietnam reflection of everything is terrible and we just lose at everything. So this was the exact wrong moment to be making a triumphant sports movie, so they didn't.
So do you expected that ending?
Um, I knew just from cultural osmosis that Rocky loses at least a couple times throughout his career, and I wasn't sure if it was this one or not, but so I wasn't entirely shocked. And again, I don't see I agree with you that like in the black and white world that he lost, but I also don't think that it's a sad ending is the thing.
No.
Like those two things aren't hand in hand.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also thought, so here's the other thing that I thought, again, because I've only seen micro clips of this. Of course, if you're like alive, you've seen or heard a lot of the quotes from this movie. So I actually thought that Adrian scene at the end where she's running in and they embrace or whatever was much sooner. Like I thought that was going to culminate, somewhere in the middle or like the last half of the movie, and that there was going to be more to come. And then the credits rolled and I was like, wait, like what's happening? Like I need more of Adrian. I need more of their love story and what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, well, you'll get some in the 7 sequels
7.
that there are to this movie. But yeah, okay. So what did you know about Rocky going in?
Everything that you described in the synopsis, well, like 50% of what you described in the synopsis. Like I just knew he was a boxer. I knew that it was actually I didn't even know that it was necessarily an underdog story. I just knew he was a boxer. It was about boxing. I knew he was going to get roughed up a little bit. And then I knew there was a training montage where he was going to run upstairs, like, and be really inspired while listening to good music. That's all I knew.
Yeah, that's about the same of what I got. And I also knew that Yo Adrian was a line that people quote from it a lot. For reasons that perplex me, but it's just not the line that I would have like plucked out of this movie. But sometimes the things that stick are not what you expect.
I agree. And I'm realizing now too, though, that again, I also use many quotes from this just in like my everyday life. Like I do yell to Rob or I yell to the kids, like, yo Rob, like jokingly, or I'm like, you could have been a contender, or I'm like,
that's
whatever.
that's not this movie.
But I still say that to them.
Okay.
Wait, what is that from again?
I don't. Okay, don't challenge me on. Look, 70s movies for
70s.
Straight men are definitely not my sphere.
Not your bag. Okay, no, that's okay. It's no pressure, no pressure.
But I should know, so let me double check.
You do that.
I just don't want to be wrong.
There were other quotes in here where I was just like, I know that I've said those things, and again, without having seen it, I don't know where I got them.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I could have been a Contenders from On the Waterfront.
I also haven't seen that. I don't. Yeah.
And that's a 50s movie for straight men, apparently.
You know what? That feels right. That feels right. So I don't know. I thought that there were a lot of quotes that I think people probably use today that I missed.
Oh, yeah. No, there's a lot of iconography in Rocky. Obviously, there's him punching the meat. There's, this is from the same director who would later do The Karate Kid, which I think is such a, like, thinking about both of them simultaneously, it is such a, like, that Karate Kid script is such a riff on Rocky. I mean, obviously, most sports movies are riffs on, the previous sports movie and the previous one, and on and on and on. But the idea of like the wax on, wax off thing of like using these kind of quotidian things that you just find around your world to help you train you in sports, I'm like, this is the exact same movie.
I have not seen Karate Kid either.
Really?
No. So Rob's watching the whole series. There's like a series that's out now, and he's obsessed with it.
Cobra Kai.
And he's like, yes, and he's like, I refuse to let you watch any of these episodes because you have to watch the movie first. And I was like, I just don't, I can't. So we might have to have a take 3 episode where we dig into this episode where we watch Karate Kid, because that's Rob's like all-time favorite training montage type movie. So I think it's probably good.
it's interesting. That is one of those movies that, given the kind of realm of things that you're interested in, just figured you would have seen it. Um, but you know, I'm not going to force you to watch it.
I know. Do you love it though?
Look, um, I'm really not a sports movie guy, and
That was what I was going to ask, because I was like, is Rocky your thing? Is boxing your thing?
oh no, I mean,
No.
the sport that I did do growing up was karate. So I do have a little bit more of a connection with that. But that type, just when I watch other people do sports, I kind of go cross-eyed. Like I can't focus on it.
Yeah.
It does not compel me. And that's something within me. That's not something within the movies.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, but Karate Kid I think is a very solid, it is a solid 80s movie insofar as it has a lot of the flaws of the 80s movie, but if that is the thing that you want, it's giving you that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I love, where I was thinking maybe I would really like Rocky is I'm actually not into boxing, just because I really think it's kind of a stupid sport and everybody's going to just turn it off right now. But I'm just like, why are you just punching each other, and like they're mangled and they are all getting concussions, and like I just think it's kind of stupid. So
It's a
again,
very macho kind of exercise.
there's just so many better sports. So again, I know so many people are into boxing actually that listen, so they've tuned out, but that's okay.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I'm just being honest. So not into that, but I will tell you, like you said, I do love a training montage. So I was like, man, if this training montage in here is awesome, where it's like he's just really, weak. I wanted him to be like 50 pounds heavier, and then I wanted him to like
But he's
have
Sylvester Stallone. He's got the juiciest pecs of 1976.
no, I mean, in the training montage, I want the transformation. I wanted
Oh,
him to be
okay,
like,
okay.
I'm a real sloth. Like, I'm a real loser. I'm a real bum. And then I wanted him to like turn it around and be like, now I'm Sylvester Stallone. And then I've got like an 8-pack, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to just like, I think I thought the training montage was going to be more, and it was actually a little bit short. He just pounded some eggs, pounded some raw eggs, a little running back and forth down the street, a little bit of stairs, like a little bit of boxing with his trainer. I thought it was a little bit a smaller part of the movie than I thought it would be.
Yeah, no, I think the thing that's really interesting about Rocky is that it's less a sports movie, more just a character study of a down and out man. And I think, I mean, I would be a little hesitant to call Rocky a romance, but I do think that the interaction between him and Adrian is more the engine driving the movie than anything sports related is. And I think that was unexpected for me.
Same. I was like, by the time we actually got to the part where we were talking about boxing, we were pretty far in. And he had
Yeah.
already had like all the exchanges and getting to know Adrian had happened. It was more character development on him and who he was as this sort of thuggish, like nice guy thug. Like I think they were trying to paint him as a like do-gooder guy, sort of, but like on the side, he's a for hire thug. I don't know, but he
Mhm.
helps the girl. He's like, you don't want to
The
be
little
making
girl with the filthy mouth.
the filthy mouth, and she's like, ah, F you, and he's like, oh, but he was like, he's kind of supposed to be kind of dumb, so he's like, oh, sorry, and then just like shrugs off and walks away. So I feel like I think that's how they were trying to paint him.
Well, yeah, no, he's supposed to be this kind of like not too bright, down and out, but like heart of gold kind of character. Okay, so well, I would say that for me, not being that invested in sports movies, and for you specifically, not being that interested in boxing, I think Rocky is the movie. Like, if you have to watch a sports movie, this movie is also not that interested in sports. So the other parts, like the character study, did you enjoy that? Like, did you like learning about this character?
Well, I had to turn the subtitles on because I was like, what? What are you even really saying? It was just like, it was just like kind of mumbly, and I really
Uh-huh.
couldn't understand him. But I was endeared to him in the beginning. I think like when I was like, oh, like he's going after this girl and he's being cute and buying turtles and going to the pet store to see Adrian, which again, Adrian, I did not, I'd only seen Adrian at the end. So I thought she was a little bit more flashy than she was in the
Uh-huh.
beginning. And so I didn't even recognize her as being Adrian. Rob's like, that's Adrian. I'm like, no, it's not. And so, yeah, I was unexpected that she was going to be this shy, intensely introverted person that really didn't really want to have anything to do with him in the beginning. Um, but I liked that. I liked that he sought out somebody. Usually, like those sort of intense Italian guys, like big Italian guys, would probably like not maybe go after somebody so meek like Adrian was. So I liked the concept of that.
Yeah. Um I I have mixed feelings about the Rocky Adrian relationship. Just because a lot of the ways that I guess specifically the biggest problem I have is with her brother. Um but just the
Like what
idea.
parts?
Well, okay, so basically at first the scene where she's at the pet store clearly trying to ignore him, not talking to him, and he just keeps talking and talking and talking at her. And
Rambling.
yeah, but the thing is like it's the idea that like, if you wear down this woman long enough, she will relent to loving you, and that is such an kind of
Awful.
abusive approach to romance.
Yeah.
And I think Rocky the movie and the script, which was written by Sylvester Stallone, I don't think he gets enough credit for that. I think that's really neat that he wrote this Best Picture winning movie. But the Rocky dynamic, like Rocky softens as the movie comes along, and you kind of see his heart of gold and you see his intention. And I think the idea that like every day he like makes up a joke to tell Adrian is kind of a cute thing, but the constant like trying to wear her down by just forcing himself onto her obviously is horrifying. And as someone who has like lots of working in retail experience, the idea of working alone at night and a customer comes in and won't leave you alone despite all of your signals,
Yeah.
that's a horror movie.
I
um
agree. I think it all culminated though. Like, yeah, it was a little bit of pressure in the. At first, it started out cutesy. I thought a little bit like, oh yeah, he's trying to ask you out, trying to ask you to go to a game or something like that, a basketball game in the pet store. But then I think it really culminates in his apartment when, or wait, yeah, it's his apartment because there's a knife in a mattress. So culminates in his apartment, and he's like basically like super creeping on her and is like, you can't, like, he's like, oh, don't you want to come in, don't you want to sit down? And she's like, no, no, no. And then he's like, oh, takes off his shirt, and then he's like dangling in there, and it still on some level feels like somewhat, again, because he's so like slow or whatever, it doesn't feel like the intention is totally malicious, but that doesn't mean that it's not super creepy and super inappropriate too. And so he sort of like even blocks her from going out the door when she tries to go. And at that moment, I'm just like, this is not what I expected at all to see in a like romance that's developing. And then the worst part of it for me is that it does culminate in them kissing. And then I'm trying to ride this fine line of like, do you want like to be kissing, or have you just submitted to this and you're just giving in now? And like, what is that dynamic that's happening? And that made me super uncomfortable.
Yeah, and see, and here's the complicated thing. It's because like the character of Adrian, at least from what we can see by the end, realizes that she does want this and all of this and whatnot. But the thing is, she was written to want that. Like
Yes.
it doesn't, you know, obviate that situation from being really, really horrible and non-consensual and disturbing, because also the power dynamic is out of control, because obviously he's this huge dude who both has the strength and the skill to tear her limb from limb.
Yeah.
So you can't just say no to this person. um and obviously, like I said, there are parts of the romance that I do think are really sweet, but it's born from this really horrible inception that's disturbing and unpleasant to watch.
I thought the same exact thing. And I'm like, how does this read today? Because obviously I don't follow this stuff. How does this read today when people look back at this? Like, how do people read it then, and how do they read it differently now that so much has evolved in that, you know, like culture?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd say the conversations that we as a culture have been having about consent are very, very recent. I don't know if anyone I mean, I'm sure somebody has looked back and reevaluated Rocky from that lens, but I have not personally seen it.
Yeah. Maybe
I
we
on
should tell them. Maybe we
yeah,
should, maybe we're the only people who are watching this movie for the first time, and this is a hot take. Like, maybe we should come out and be like, Rocky's kind of a douchebag, right? I think that's something we should do after this episode.
yeah, and I do think the argument could be made that like yeah, he's not a great person. Like he is a, loan shark enforcer, like low down guy, and he's trying to scrabble up from the whatever. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, I would argue that like trying to see Rocky as an unequivocally good person is ignoring the like tone and point of the movie probably, but that doesn't make those scenes any better because those are portrayed as the moments where he is like good.
Yeah.
I at least in terms of the script and the way the movie is presented, I think that those are supposed to be the soft moments for Rocky.
Yeah, I agree. So
And
we're taking
also,
down
sorry,
notes here. We're saying Rocky. I'm taking down a few notes. Rocky's a little bit of a douchebag. We like Adrian. We feel
I do
bad
like
for
Adrian.
Adrian. I do like Adrian. I mean, I'm a little bit sort of like, if you want to come to his boxing match, you come on your own terms. That's where I'm at right now. So if she felt
Mhm.
like she came to that match to run in so that he could scream at her while his face was all ripped apart, then I'm okay. Otherwise, I want Adrian to reevaluate a little bit. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and also just the part where her brother is forcing her to go on a date with Rocky, um,
So gross.
is yeah, it's super gross because it's Thanksgiving night. She's making a turkey and he throws it out into the alley to force him to go on a date with his friend.
Yeah.
And it is repugnant. It is repulsive, and obviously that brother character has truly no redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
Um,
Super. Who is he? Because he looked kind of familiar. Like maybe he went on to do some other things later. Do you know who he is?
Let me double check. I believe it's Burt Young who was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but I want to double check.
Yeah, I think I'd seen him in other things later. Like he looked like a young, terrible, terrible brother that I had seen later. But yeah, him slinging around that turkey leg too. I was just like, you are gross. Like you're I don't think we were meant to like him. And then they've
Oh no.
even made him even more unlikable just with his mannerisms and like griminess. Um, do you know is that who it is?
Yeah, it is Burt Young. He
Oh,
was
okay.
also he was also in Chinatown. I'm sure you've seen him in Amityville 2: The Awakening.
Oh, that's
Um,
where I knew him from.
mhm.
Yes, yes, yes.
Wait,
Thank
no,
you.
not the Possession is what Amityville 2 is
Possession.
for the
Yes,
record.
that one too.
He was in
Um,
Russian Doll, apparently. Did you see that Netflix show, Russian Doll?
I think I watched maybe one or two and it wasn't for me.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think I wasn't a big fan of him. I was a fan of her. And then it kind of forced me too to think, I don't know if you like it started making me think a little bit about the Italian stereotype of like just intensity. Like they just always sort of like position these people as just like, I'm loud, I'm yelling, I do what I want, I say what I want, like whatever. And I was just thinking like, how does that hold up today too?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that this script is coming from an observed place of Sylvester Stallone trying to capture this one type of person,
Yeah.
and it is maybe a more stereotypical version of that person, but I think he's going for realism of something that exists, even if it's the thing that most people think is the like only thing that Italian people can be.
Right, right.
Um, I don't know. Like I think that's a situation of that's a little grayer, where it's like that's more on the idea of how Hollywood is portraying Italians as a whole rather than this movie specifically. But yeah, I don't know. That one's a I'm on the fence about that.
I'm on the fence. I know. I mean, and I like when I was growing up, I was like, I have some friends that are Italian, and it's like I'm so drawn to them because of their intensity. Like I think they just, again, I'm stereotyping actually right now, but I feel like it's a positive stereotype. So I don't know if that's allowed, but like
Still not really.
still not good. So this is
Yeah.
not a stereotype then. So just in my friend who friends
Uh-huh.
are done, they're just like so full of love and energy and spark, and it's just like I'm just so drawn to being around people like that. But it like, my one of my best friends, Angie, is just like that spark also is like there's two sides to the spark. And
Yeah.
it's like, but they're so magnetic. So I did like that. I like the intensity of watching, but I don't know if I liked the way that Rocky was pulling it off. So
Yeah, and also speaking about like busting stereotypes, the kind of snooty rich asshole champion is a black man who's Apollo Creed, played by Carl Weathers. Which, like, that's cool to, I mean, to be seeing like black Americans in positions of power, although this is extra complicated by the fact that it's like, oh, the underdog that we're supposed to be cheering for is a white guy who has to beat up a black man. And you're like, well, you tried, movie, I guess. I'm not sure what to take away from
I think there's
this.
two sides to all of those things, though. Like there's no 100% winning in that, because then
Yeah.
like you just flip it to the other side that you disagree with, and you're like, oh well, it doesn't solve for that either. So in this case, I guess we just have to feel good that he won. I guess
Maybe. Yeah, well,
maybe
I mean, Apollo Creed, the character, is also pretty terrible. Like, I think that the just on a character level, like the way that you see how Rocky is preparing for the fight and the way that you see how Apollo Creed is preparing for the fight, I think really does a good job at reinforcing the underdog, like rah rah Americana kind of element of it. Because Apollo Creed's always like, you never see him training.
right.
He's always dressed in these smoky boardrooms, and you can see like, oh, he's this kind of fat cat. Like, he is not really taking the sport seriously anymore, unlike Rocky, who's, training and
Yeah, I didn't
whatever.
see him eat any raw eggs the entire movie.
Exactly. Um, so you want him to be taken down because he is content in his like number one champion slot and not even trying.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and he comes in, yeah, he doesn't think he has to do anything to win, because he's like, oh, I'm just going to get this guy in here who, like, isn't known, isn't, well, no, really, he was only going off of his name. Like, he really liked the fact that his name was flashy, which was Stallion, the Italian Stallion or something.
Yeah, and there is that line later on where he's like, he doesn't realize this is a show. He thinks this is a fight. Like, they're talking about Rocky.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about some of the maybe issues that haven't held up. Did we cover the one that you kind of alluded to earlier, where you were saying you kind of had a problem with this movie?
We did. I was
Okay,
like, it was the trapping her in his apartment scene.
yeah,
I was like,
that's
it
not so
felt
fun.
like, and if it takes a lot to make me uncomfortable, and if that I was like cringing and I was uncomfortable, I was like, this isn't good for anybody. So
Yeah, but was there anything that you genuinely like really liked watching this movie?
yeah, I was trying to still evaluate like my like overarching whole view of the whole movie. Like, having just seen it, I'm still processing it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I think it was fine. I think it was good. Like, as I was watching it, Rob obviously has nostalgia towards it. So he was just like, oh, the scene's coming. The scene's coming. It's so good. This is so good. That's so good. Like, watch this. He's about to go through the training montage. And I was like, oh, that 3-minute thing where he ran down the road. Like, and then Rob's like, oh, when you get to that one scene where he's running down the road and then he starts running really fast, where I was like, just wait. He is going to run so fast. And I was just like, okay, I'm waiting
Great.
for it. Like, great. Like, he's pretty speedy. And it didn't hit the same for me as it did for him. But I think if you're somebody who grew up with this and saw it years and years ago, I'm sure there's a nostalgia factor there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, yeah, no, you really need to be at that point. You need to have been invested in the Rocky character, and if he hadn't grabbed you by that point, you're like, okay, he's running. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Can't even
fine.
understand what you're saying. Speak up, man. I was like, so speak up. Speak a little bit more clearly, you weirdo. So yeah, I mean, again, I did not hate this movie by any means. I would say this movie was fine. This movie was fine. I liked it. Although I think Rob was telling me last night that I think his favorite is like the fourth or the Balboa. What's Rocky Balboa? Is that the fifth?
That's the sixth one.
Sixth. I think that's his favorite. So I'm like, well, this is interesting to me. I'm a little bit intrigued because usually, the originals are the ones that are the favorite, but it sounds like maybe some of these sequels end up picking up and being really solid sequels as well.
Yeah, I was interested because I was rooting around the internet trying to find any comments that Tim has made about the movie Rocky,
Yeah.
because he hasn't reviewed it.
He hasn't?
No.
Weird.
He hasn't given it a star rating anywhere, but I did find a little scrap in his review of Rocky Balboa, which came out like during the time that he was reviewing movies. And he did say that it's possibly better than the original. Like he hadn't, I don't think at
Okay.
the time of writing he had solidified that opinion yet. Um,
Okay.
but I think you're right. Like I don't know. I was trying to kind of get in around the edges and figure out how he felt about this movie. Actually, I
Yeah.
skimmed his reviews for both the Creed movies too to see if he mentioned Rocky.
And he didn't?
Just vaguely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just as a movie that exists and is a classic. But I think he might be on our same page, but I'm not going to put words in his mouth. Where
I
does
won't
like
actually I will put words in his mouth.
okay,
I think he will feel the same way that we do about the scenes that we have issues with. Like I think he'll look at this and be like, like this doesn't hold up because he has a higher sensitivity to that kind of stuff even than I do. So he's gonna come back and be like, I bet he is like Rob in that he loved it when he was a kid. And that he's gonna see the holes in it now if he's reviewing it, now versus having seen it 25 years ago or whenever this was out or whenever he saw it,
mhm.
that he'll have the same problems.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Maybe next take two we'll talk about Rocky with everyone.
That's right.
But yeah, so I think it's a well constructed movie. Like I don't think it is a bad movie. It's just not a
No.
movie that I liked that much.
Yeah. Speaking of I wanted to ask you one other thing. How did you handle this boxing scene when they slice his eye open?
Ooh, and the blood just kind of lances across.
Ah!
I made a noise. I was like, whoa. And I've seen so many horror movies, but yeah, that was surprising.
That was surprising and alarming. And this is something, so I know that you know so much more than I do, but I'm going to share something with you that you
Okay.
don't know that you can share with others. Women, when there is an extreme of something and it's an extreme pain, you get like a really painful, you get like pain, like you get your own physical pain.
Like a sympathy pain.
You get a sympathy pain and it's like an intensity pain. And the 20% of women who listen to this show statistically know exactly what I'm talking about because you have to be a woman to feel this pain. And it was in this scene happened and I was like, oh, like I had a reaction and I was also feeling physical pain. And that is like
Where? Like physical pain
it's
in
it's like in the if you're a woman place.
vagina.
Yeah. It's like it's intense. You'll feel like you're getting like a taser to your vagina.
I'm not sure that I'd be
This is common.
curious.
Everyone agrees.
I'd be curious if there are any cis women who have experienced this, please let us know.
Please write in. Let us know. It's called sympathy vagina pain. And I got this.
I don't think it is.
It's a for sure thing. Google it after we get off. Be like, sympathy
no.
vagina pain.
Yeah. Okay.
This isn't common for men.
I mean, I personally don't have a vagina, so
No, but I mean, like, you don't have sympathy penis pain. You don't get like, do you ever feel like when you see somebody get hurt, you feel it yourself?
I mean, yeah, like if I mean, but that's like, I mean, I feel like if I'm feeling pain in my genitals,
yes,
it is in reaction to seeing somebody else's genitals being hurt specifically.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
The sympathy comes from like the specific place that it's happening. So if I see someone being hurt in the shoulder, like my testicles aren't aching.
I see. So, but I see. That makes sense. So mine's just like whole thing. If I see somebody fall down, whatever, it's an intense pain. It's just, it's a thing. But when he's like, cut my eye, I can't see, cut my eye open. I was just like, shrill pain, and that was a scene that I never want to see ever again because it was disgusting and awful.
Okay.
So just to share. Oh, on the overshare there.
No. Look, I love an overshare. I just need to process what's happening. Anyway, I'm gonna wipe the slate clean here by saying my favorite thing about the movie is that his turtles' names are Cuff and Link. I think that's genius.
Agreed. So cute. But again, they're cutesifying him. They want us to I think they want us to like him. They want us to be
Yeah.
endeared to him. And that is super, super cute. Like he's kind of childlike in a lot of ways. So I think it's one of those little childlike moments where like innocence moments where I think he's just I don't know. I think he's kind of like a kid.
Yeah, and they want to show you that he's kind. Like, he's this big, brutish, violent man, but he's kind to innocents, to children and to animals and to Adrian, sort of, not
Sort
really.
of. Yeah, but not really.
He thinks he's
Yeah.
being kind to Adrian.
He thinks he's being kind and gentle, but that's we all have different perspectives. So
Yeah, we do.
yeah, I'm trying to think of what I really liked. Overall, again, I'm in the exact same camp that you are. Like, this is fine.
Yeah. Okay. I think before we wrap up a discussion of this movie, we have to talk about one of the other iconic elements, which is the Rocky theme, because that song is on all the movie soundtrack compilations. It's on all the sports music compilations. It's the one that goes like dun 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 dun. Did that?
Is that it?
Yeah, the like horn theme. Does
I
it
thought it
stand out to you at
was
all?
do 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 do. No, that's not it. That's not it. Wait,
I mean, it's
something
very
feels weird.
similar. It's very similar to the William Tell overture.
Okay.
Which they're mixing up in my head now, so I might have been doing
No,
that.
they're mixing. I have Superman in my head too. Do 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 do. No, that's not it
That's
either.
Indiana Jones.
That's Indiana Jones. That's it. So let's just talk about the theme song. We know which one it is. It's iconic and sounds like a lot of other theme songs.
It does. It also sounds like the Midsummer Night's Dream wedding march a little bit.
How does that one go?
This like it sounds like the intro, but that one's the dun 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 dun
Oh,
dun
that
dun
yes,
dun dun.
yes. The wedding song. Yes, 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 yes. Okay.
But yes. Anyway, so what did you think of the? I mean, I think we
Love it.
got it. Yeah, we love it.
I love it.
Sounds like a lot of great things.
I love it so much that I remember every detail. No, but it's in the same camp for me as like I get really powered up by music. And so like if I'm running or if I'm doing anything, like I love throwing music on because I do find energy in that. And so while it's like there's something about it that I don't know why it pumps me up, but it's like it's in the same category as like Eye of the Tiger, where you're just like, oh, I feel my blood pumping a little bit more. I feel like my heart racing a little bit more. And I felt that way even before seeing the movie. So I don't know what that is. I don't know why it's so it fires me up or is motivating.
No, it totally it's a very emphatic, like kind of John Philip Sousa kind of thing that is so unexpected for a movie that's this like gritty and low key. Like it's very triumphant, and
Yeah.
it pumps you up. And actually, Eye of the Tiger was popularized because it was used in Rocky 3, so it all ties together.
Oh, I just thought of it again. It goes do 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 do
Is that
do do
Superman?
do. No, that's the Rocky song.
Is it?
It's somewhere in the middle. It's not the beginning,
like that.
but it's somewhere in the middle. It's for sure in there, and that's the part where I get the most motivated, where I just sang that. So, I was into that. I thought it was good. I thought it works.
Yes, I agree, except that I think that this song did not need lyrics. Because the lyrics do come in about 2 minutes into the training montage, and they are the most 70s disco
I don't even
lackadaisical.
remember lyrics. Tell me the lyrics. I don't even remember them.
Like, trying hard now. It's so hard now. Getting strong now. Won't be long now. Gonna fly now. Flying high now. And I'm like, wow, they didn't put a lot of effort into that one.
I don't even think I heard those words. Like if you had told me that there was a voiceover or that there were lyrics to this, I would have been like, no, you're not telling the truth. I must have just been overtaken by the instrumentation that I didn't even hear that.
Well, just it's only in the full song, and it's late in the song because you think it's an instrumental song for like 2 minutes, and then it's just not, and it's
weird.
Bad.
It sounds very bad. I don't approve of that. So I approve of the instrumentation of this song for our motivation and enthusiasm towards activities. That's my vote on that.
Great. Do you have any last thoughts you want to share on Rocky, or can we run away screaming into the night?
We can run away screaming. The only thing I'm going to ask you is, what do we see? So we've seen the first one. Have you seen any of the others?
I have not. I guess, that is a good question. Do you have any interest in seeing any of the others, or at least in seeing the one that Tim really likes?
Because I saw the one where Sylvester Stallone looks like he has Botox. I think that's the most recent one.
In Creed?
I saw Creed,
Uh-huh.
so I did see that, and that I don't know, that was okay. I was kind of distracted because he didn't look like himself to me, but I I don't know. I'm kind of interested in the one that Tim likes, but I don't know if it's the kind of thing we need to find out. We'll ask Tim this. I need to find out, do I need to watch these in order or can I skip to the good ones? So I don't know the
Um,
answer to that.
I, as I was reading his review of Rocky Balboa, and I'm pretty sure that movie kind of pointedly ignores a lot of the middle ones, or at least it doesn't disqualify them from, being canon necessarily, but
Yeah.
it doesn't play into them at all. Like, I think that one's more or less trying to be as direct a sequel to Rocky as it can be, so I think you could skip to that one without any issues.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I think I'll do. I don't think I'd want to watch another one of this again or like a lesser one of this. Like if it gets worse from here, I don't want to watch that. But if Balboa gets good, I could see myself doing that.
Okay, well, I think that's good because that is the one that Tim brought up on the episode. It was just like we couldn't skip to that one. We had to talk about the original Rocky, of
Agreed.
course.
Thanks for calling me out. I appreciate you getting together to talk about it. I feel better as a human now.
We both improved our film education a little bit today, and hopefully did not make too many people very angry.
I'm certain that we have. But
It,
that's
it
okay
always happens. The second
because
you have
we
an
had
opinion
fun.
on any movie, someone's going to get mad about it. It's fine.
It's true, and we had fun, and that's all that matters.
Exactly. But yeah, thanks so much for listening, everyone. Um, I need to improve doing the credits on this. You can find more podcasts and reviews on alternateending.com. Follow them on Twitter at alternate ending. They're tweeting all the time. That's what Rob says. Not necessarily true, I would say, but it's
It's very untrue. It's very
that's
untrue.
what he says. Um, and they're tweeting a regular amount, I would
uh,
say.
Less than average. But you know what everybody should do? Go out and follow Brennan and follow us and Rob and Tim and myself on Letterboxd because I feel like that's the place where I'm really just enjoying engaging with other people about movies and their reviews and their perspectives. And I think that's just a really nice community and so much nicer than Twitter and so many other places. So that's a good place to
Oh
follow
yeah.
us too.
And your letterbox is incredible. I love reading your reviews.
I like reading your reviews too. I
Yeah.
get out there and I'm like, it's hard because the structure of Letterbox is a little bit weird where it's like I'm trying to find things. So I end up searching for people that I know just because sometimes if I'm not just on it all the time, I don't see
Mhm.
them. So I have to seek
Well, you,
people
you
out.
follow
But
like hundreds of people, right? I keep seeing you like following people like 20. I was like, oh, Carrie followed 20 more people today.
a lot of times I have a tendency to binge people that like a movie that I know not everybody likes, but that I do. So
Oh,
like I'll be
uh-huh.
like, oh, you love what's a good example? Like you loved the movie Sing, like all
Oh,
humans
uh-huh.
should. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna follow a lot of people that I know are like in the same category as me so that we can commiserate. But yeah, I just really like reading through people's reviews and getting other opinions before I even actually review something. I always end up going out and reading of other people's perspectives, which I don't know, just I like to see how wrong or right I feel like I am. So go out and do that. Follow us out there if you're on Letterboxd as well.
Yes. And you can follow me on Twitter at It's Raining Brens. Catch more of us, me and Carrie and Rob on the main feed on A Worthy Binge, talking about The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I think that's going to do it.
Sounds good.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.